Bull's news section. Today we'll be talking about annual general meeting with Warren Buffett. Company's annual general meeting this year on May 1 was held in Los Angeles and not Omaha. The annual event is also known as Woodstock for capitalists. Warren Buffett started his presentation with a list of today's 20 biggest companies in the world, and he asked how many of them would still be on the list 30 years from now. These powerhouses include Apple, Saudi Aramco, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and Facebook. The Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, reminded us that none of the top 20 companies from 1989 were on today's list. More than 30 years ago, over half of the largest companies globally were Japanese firms, including banks and industrials. The only US companies on the list were GE, Marriott, IBM, American Tel, and Philip Morris. His exact words, "It tells you that capitalism has worked incredibly well, especially for the capitalist. The world can change in very, very dramatic ways," Buffett said, adding that the best way to invest is via index funds. It is not as easy as it sounds. Warren Buffett said before investors became too sure of themselves, it is important to realize that there is a lot more to stock picking than to work out, which is going to be the most wonderful industry in the future. Here is a list of top 30 companies in India by market capitalization. Have a look. What do you think? How many of these companies will remain in the top 30 after 20 to 30 years? The answer is around 7 to 10 companies, as there will be many new companies that will be worth more valuable in the future, and that none of the 20 companies from 1989 were on today's list. He gave the example of automobile industry in the 1900s, as there were limited production of automobiles until Ford began mass production in 1913. This was the time when everyone knew automobile sector will have robust growth in future, and everyone began investing in automobile sector companies. Charlie Munger calls Bitcoin disgusting and contrary to the interest of the civilization. Berkshire Hathaway Vice President Charlie Munger took aim at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies during the annual general meeting on Saturday. "I think the whole damn development is disgusting and contrary to the interest of civilization," said Munger. Buffett's right-hand man called Bitcoin a financial product invented out of thin air. "Of course I hate the Bitcoin success," Munger said. "I don't welcome a currency that is so useful to kidnappers." Buffett avoided the question on Bitcoin because he said he didn't want to get grief from everyone who is long Bitcoin relative to few people who are short the digital asset. Buffett warned newbie investors that picking great companies is more complicated than just selecting a promising industry. "There's a lot more to picking stocks than figuring out what's going to be a wonderful industry in the future," said Buffett. Buffett put up slide of all the auto companies from years ago that started with the letter M. However, the list was so long it didn't fit on one slide. Buffett says the world can change in drastic ways, so invest in index funds. The insurance industry has a unique financial model that is very different from other industries. Most manufacturers have upfront costs to build a product, labor, a manufacturing building or facility, supplies, etc. Whereas the bulk of insurance company costs are post-issuance, at the time of claim and loss payout. The financial structure, when usually effectively, can create significant investment opportunities to support the overall strategy and profitability of an insurance company. Mr. Buffett is perhaps the most illustration of how this financial model can prove to be quite effective and profitable. Warren Buffett is very positive on the insurance sector, and COVID has increased the demand of insurance over the globe, and its future looks bright. In addition to an explosion of gamblers in the market who engage in day trading and options trading in the past years, Buffett says Robinhood has become a very significant part of the casino aspect that the market has taken on in the last 12 to 18 months. The gambling impulse is very strong in people worldwide, and occasionally it gets an enormous show when conditions lead to this place where more people are entering the casino than they are leaving every day. Buffett said, and it creates its own reality for a while, and nobody tells you when the clock's going to strike 12 and it all turns to pumpkins and mice. In response to a later question about trading apps such as Robinhood, Buffett opined that they are adding to gambling problem in markets. He is eager to read the prospects where Robinhood goes public to see details how they make money while not charging commissions. Berkshire is still sitting on $145.43 billion in cash and short-term investments because Buffett has struggled to find major acquisitions for the company for several years. Warren Buffett said he had sold some Apple stock last year and it was probably a mistake. Buffett says Apple is an extraordinary business with indispensable products, says CEO Tim Cook has made accomplishments that Steve Jobs could not. The economy recovery has gone far better than you could say with any assurance, so we didn't have as much money as we had in banks at that time, Buffett said. The economic recovery has gone far better than you could say with any assurance, so we didn't like having as much money as we had in banks at that time, Buffett said. It's a killer about the influence of special purpose acquisition companies on Berkshire's ability to find businesses to buy. That won't go on forever, but it's where the money is now, and Wall Street goes where the money is. Buffett asked why Berkshire recently sold some shares in US banks, said the industry is in much better shape than 10-15 years ago, but Berkshire had too much exposure.